Viewers, this man had gone to the realm of death after his demise. But in Coma, he encountered a completely different world that was very strange. In Coma, everyone possessed some kind of powers, but this man tried very hard without recognizing his own powers. Everyone considered him quite weak. In this world, there were also very dangerous creatures that could destroy people with a touch. If someone died in the realm of death, they would also die in their real world. Now, it remains to be seen how this man undergoes intense training, discovers his unique powers, and saves everyone from these creatures, as even a single touch could convert them into creatures. This needs to be figured out as soon as possible. At the beginning of the story, we are introduced to a man named Victor, who opens his eyes in an abandoned room. Victor couldn't remember how he ended up there. The room had tiny models of buildings. Suddenly, Victor noticed that the ceiling of the room was starting to turn black. Shocked by this strange sight, he quickly exits the building. But now, the entire place had transformed completely. Everything seemed incomplete, with everything from the ground to the buildings turning into black matter. Even people were incomplete. Some were missing heads, others were missing legs. Victor was utterly confused by all this, but just as he was trying to understand the situation, a dark creature approached him very quickly. The creature didn't have a proper body structure, but it looked quite frightening. As the creature attacked Victor, 3 people suddenly appeared and repeatedly saved him. However, they couldn't stop the dangerous creature for long, so Victor started fleeing with them. But the creature resumed its pursuit. Victor and the others ran until they reached a point where the path abruptly ended. Victor was at a loss about what to do, but then Mike, one of the group, pushed a kilometer-wide object, causing Victor to fall rapidly into the air and land on the ground, indicating that everything was interconnected. Victor and the others were running quickly, but the creature had bitten Mike's hand. Although Mike didn't feel much pain at the moment, the effects would start to show later. The creature was getting closer, so to save everyone, one of the men carried a bomb to the black creature and detonated it, killing both the creature and himself. This allowed the others to escape, and now Victor and the remaining survivors moved on. On the way, Victor asked a girl named Fly about the place they were in and how they ended up there. Fly explained that this was a world where people come after dying in the realm of death, meaning Victor was also in the realm of death in his real life. Fly mentioned that all the incomplete things were memories of people who had some aspects of their real life here. She took Victor to a hidden place, which was quite a strange location, and they arrived at a van that led to a base. When Victor reached the base, he saw many people who had come into this world after dying in the realm of death. Victor then asked Fly about the creatures. She explained that if someone dies in this world, they would convert into one of the large black creatures, meaning they would never be able to leave the realm of death. Victor entered his new room, and Fly told him that in this world, whatever he dreams of would convert into reality. After sleeping, Victor had a strange dream where he had a car accident and was in a critical state. However, when he woke up, he realized that the dream was happening in reality, and all his previous imagination was what he had been unaware of. Later, a man named Victor visited Victor and explained that everyone who comes to this world has some kind of power. They form teams and survive in this world. For instance, Fly had healing powers and Mike had super stamina. Victor had no idea what his power was, but Mike had a method to reveal Victor's hidden powers. The next day, Mike, using a robot, continued to attack Victor relentlessly. Despite receiving heavy blows, Victor's hidden powers still weren't emerging, and everyone began to believe that Victor had no powers at all. In fact, people receive powers according to their real-life traits. When Mike asked, Victor revealed that he was an architect in his real life, creating designs for various types of buildings. The following day, everyone went to gather supplies for survival, taking their computer with them. The computer was only useful for their purposes. When they reached the location where they intended to steal supplies, they found many police officers stationed there. Without delay, they started attacking all the soldiers. A fierce battle ensued between them and the soldiers. Mike and his team managed to defeat the soldiers and entered a factory to steal some materials. As they were trying to extract a bomb, 3 creatures approached them. They had to escape quickly, otherwise they would all be killed. If they fell, the entire place would collapse and convert into a black matter. They needed to act fast, but no one knew what to do in that moment. Victor then touched his head and began thinking deeply. Eventually, he recognized his inner powers. Victor had the ability to create anything by thinking about it in his mind. He created a slider structure to destroy the bomb, which caused it to slide down. Thanks to this, they managed to leave the place in time and return to their base. That night, everyone praised Victor's powers. An elderly man named Gary, who had arrived first in the realm of death, was astonished by Victor's abilities. He had never seen anyone use their mind to create things before. Gary then asked Victor to build a large city where the creatures couldn't enter. Victor agreed to try and was excited. He didn't even sleep that night, continuously practicing his powers. The next day, when everyone reached the location to build the city, they were suddenly attacked by many creatures. They began to flee, but the question arose: how did the creatures find out their location? During the chaos, Mike collided with a character, and a tracking device fell out of the character's body. The people believed that Mike had planted the tracking device, which revealed their location to the creatures. However, it was actually Gary who had placed the device. When Mike tried to reveal this to everyone, Gary shot him. Mike started to convert into one of the creatures because he had been bitten by one of them earlier. Anyone bitten by a creature would eventually convert into one of them. As more creatures arrived, the group continued to flee to save their lives. They were heading towards their hidden base, and Victor used his mental powers to create a wall in front of the creatures. But Victor was becoming exhausted, and everything around him began to blur. He started to lose his grip on his powers due to his real-life conditions, causing the realm of death to deteriorate. Victor began to experience visions of his friend Fly, who was in a car going to meet a renowned scientist. However, upon reaching the place, they were not allowed inside. So, Victor went in alone, where he met Gary, who had entered the realm of death first. Gary was a scientist in the real world with a private organization that conducted various experiments. He explained to Victor his new experiment, which involved entering a well in his mind to live in a different world. In this new world, Victor would gain different types of powers that he could use for his development. Gary asked Victor to join his project because he realized that Victor had unique and valuable powers that could be highly beneficial. Essentially, Victor could rapidly create things using his mental powers in the new world. Gary started forcing Victor, but Victor cleverly escaped and left with Fly. Fly asked Victor what had happened, but before they could discuss it further, they were involved in an accident with a truck and lost consciousness. This scene mirrored the dream Victor had in the realm of death. Gary's people then came back, found Victor and Fly, and took them away. Gary had a plan to use electricity in the realm of death and revealed to Victor the real reason for his presence there. Gary wanted to create his own world where he could control those who had nothing in their real lives. Their lives were about to end abruptly. For instance, Victor's friend Mike didn't have legs in the real world, but in the realm of death, he had functional legs and had become quite powerful. Gary sent Victor back to the realm of death. Victor woke up at the same location where he had first arrived in the realm of death. He immediately went to his friends who were standing near the land for building the city. Using his mental powers, Victor quickly built a large bridge to reach them. Victor focused intensely and used his mental powers to construct the entire city. He applied all the skills he had learned as an architect in his real life, and after some time he successfully built the city. Gary also arrived at the site. Gary informed them that before they came to this world, he had injected a liquid into their bodies that would cause them to die slowly in this world. They knew that once they died here, they would convert into creatures. Gary had used Victor for his own benefit, and now he took Victor into the large city where no aliens could enter. Victor's friends gradually started dying. Fly went with Victor to a place where the half-finished dream had ended. Victor then entered the world of dreams within the realm of death. Victor was searching for an endpoint that connected to the real life, but now another friend of his had died, and Gary appeared before him. Victor tried to use his powers to stop Gary, but Gary managed to avoid all of Victor's attacks. Just as Gary was about to kill Victor and Fly, a creature attacked him, revealing that the creature was none other than Mike. Mike still remembered something about his friends and had helped them. Victor had finally found the endpoint that connected the real world with the realm of death. Victor and Fly opened their eyes in the real world and began to live happily together. Victor, still an architect, had received a contract to build a large building and had been working on it for several days. However, he received a letter from Gary, asking him to rejoin his project. Even though Gary had died in the realm of death, he was still alive in the real world. Victor thought about the letter and, in the next moments, locked it inside a drawer to prevent Gary from reaching him again. And with that, the story ends here.